Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name's Brian if you happen to be new around here, but if you're a returning subscriber, thanks so much for being here. It really does mean a lot to me and I really hope that you enjoy my New World content. But I wanted to do this as a different kind of introduction to this video specifically because the plan for the rest of this video is to have gameplay footage of Brimstone Sands. So if you want to hear my thoughts, if you want to hear the concerns that I have as a part of this experience, if you want to hear about the really exciting things that I take away from this experience so far, you can, and you don't want to see anything in that regards, you can always just, I guess, minimize and listen if that is something that you're wanting to do. But for those of you who do not visually want anything spoiled, note to self, this is kind of acting as a light spoiler warning for the rest of this video. I didn't want to run the risk of ruining anything for you, so hopefully you guys don't mind. Let me know the feedback on what you guys think on how I've presented this. Now, before we jump into my thoughts and how I feel about the entire new zone and the experience so far in the PTR, I want to say if you guys are looking to hang out and play with anybody, whether you're on our server or Athena, I think hopefully I pronounced that right, or not, the links in the description for the Discord as well as for my Twitch. I'm going to be streaming tonight sometime after 5 o'clock Central. It's everybody's welcome. You can come hang out in voice, you can come hang out on the stream. The idea is we're just going to get together and do some fun things, talk about this game, talk about its future. That's an invitation that's open every Friday for those of you who want to join in. But without further ado, guys, I want to dive into so far my thoughts. I'm going to start with my frustrations, and then we're going to talk about the things that I'm personally very excited about to see as this game continues to improve each and every day. So without further ado, let's talk about it. Hopefully this complaint doesn't feel nitpicky, and I want to open up with this because all in all, stepping into the new zone and doing this quest, it was very clear that there were several bottlenecks in terms of the quest design for killing certain monsters, killing certain bosses. Now, when we fast forward to a year from now and not many people are doing this quest line all at the same time, is this an issue? Most likely not. So this is a very isolated issue with the experience so far. And my feedback, the feedback that I posted on the forums and the feedback that I leave in game, because it's important to me that I don't just complain to a camera about a game design element or something about a specific game, but to actually make sure the devs actually have actionable information, not just some random YouTuber's video. But the feedback that I gave them is that, and I don't know if this is a long-term fix, you could poke holes in this feedback. I'd love to actually hear you poke holes, so that way I can kind of hopefully have a better, more informed kind of feedback mechanism to the devs. But whenever there's more people on that quest in that area, if the game was able to detect that and do two things, I think it would be great if they increase the overall health of the enemies themselves. Because you have so many people wailing on them, it'd be great if it scaled up the enemy's strength based off of those factors. You're on that same quest and you're also in the same area. I could see how you could try and cheese it to where you would bring people who aren't on the same quest, so that way you can end up just burning down things really, really fast. And maybe that's going to be something that they could also try and detect. But at its core, what you end up finding is that people are just waiting around trying to get credit for the quest and not able to, because the things die so absolutely fast because there's just a mob of players there. The other side of it is to increase the respawn rate. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a one-to-one in terms of life. They could add 10 more enemies, 100 more enemies, or something of that nature, so that it ensures that more people can be able to get the credit for the quest themselves. And there was first this kind of hit with the defense wave right next to the big sandworm, which was absolutely cool to see, have that pop up right in front of me. That was really wild, and I can't wait to see how that evolves as a part of the zone itself. But when it came down to the quest, it then actually had more bottlenecks down the road. So it wasn't just at this one point. There was plenty of times where you end up waiting quite a while for a boss to spawn. Now, I have no problems waiting for a boss to spawn. I think that's a perfectly fine, kind of system that can be put in place, because you don't want the boss to be dead and then automatically be right back again. However, tying back into detecting people in that area, detecting people on that quest, pumping up that boss's hit points so that it actually feels like a boss for that many people. And then that way later down the road, when less people are running the quest line, you're not necessarily being punished for not having done it at the time that it was released. And so there was multiple times last night that I kept hitting these walls, and those walls ultimately just became a little bit frustrating because it felt like things were picking up speed and then they slowed down dramatically. I mean, and not that I would be mad with any kind of slowdown, in terms of it, but just the volume of players. And it ended up feeling very frantic, and it ended up feeling more competitive than collaborative. And obviously the solution in this case would be to form parties, and that way your entire party is getting credit and are able to kind of cover a wider range of ground rather than individualist. But still, individualist mindset comes up and it feels more competitive than collaborative, when in this case, like, it could be a really good player experience if it was more collaborative than it was competitive. And so that's just kind of the feedback that I felt in terms of the quest design. I have yet to get to the rune unlock quest, but I'm going to continue to play on the PTR and really more experience it. Now, that really is the critique that I have. Like, when it came down to it, I explored the entire zone. I have not yet gone into the dungeon itself, but I absolutely adore the zone design. It really feels, and then you can go into Everfall and you can go into all the different areas of the map that they've already redone. It really feels like you're starting to see a confident AGS. You're starting to see developers really excited and leaning in and just building the best version of the game that they can. And that is contrast to obviously this quest design. I've seen other MMOs run into the same problem, and another solution outside of what I just talked about would be to have multiple different pathways that you can get there. There is the unlock quest for the zone that does have multiple different pathways depending on your faction, which I think is actually an important thing to kind of help load balance people in different areas as they go to do this quest and unlock the zone. But when it came down to it, I think there's definitely some more work that needs to be done there as well. And so hopefully we'll see that happen. And hopefully it seems like that feedback isn't just for mine. When I go and look at the threads over on the official forums, that is prominently what I'm seeing over and over again. But the zone design is phenomenal. I really love running over scorpions. I love how that has that effect. I love kind of some of the, like, there's 3 different main themes in terms of its architecture that are at play. You have the ancients. So there's definitely some things that were here prior to the Egyptians that are a constant mystery on the island of Eternum that I'm very excited to continue to learn more and more about. Then you have the Egyptian influence, which is really exciting to see. I love the pyramid. I love how it looks and it functions. And these open world mob zone areas were a lot of fun. Me and my friend were running through them, got our butts handed to us. Still a ton of fun. Nevertheless, lots of little mysteries and puzzles also kind of scattered around the zone itself. So I'm excited to see how that plays out in the long run. And then you factor in the the Roman influence, and so you have kind of these 3 grand architectures that are all kind of at play in this space with various different oases, big cliff sides, lots of interesting aspects. One of the things we were joking about on the stream was that it kind of had this Stargate kind of mentality with the Egyptian influence, and it's kind of funny because Amazon owns MGM, which owns the right to Stargate. And how weird would it, and what a twist MMO would it be if all of a sudden then it integrated into some like beloved IP that has existed for a long time. So there's some interesting influences that who knows if that's going to set up more and more stories and more interesting developments down the road. Obviously, when you look at the map itself, you also see more offshoots of roads going into other zones. And this is also thrilling and exciting, and I can't wait to see how this game evolves even further as more of the map is discovered and all that. So it's going to be a grand adventure to say the least. So the zone design I think is phenomenal. I'm really enjoying how easy it is to get around. There's lots of fast travel points that are within Brimstone, and it'll be interesting to see if they bring that kind of same concept to the older zones as well. Otherwise, it is what it is. It's going to be interesting to see how that impacts, because it does feel like it is a bigger zone. It does feel like there's a lot more to see and explore, and I don't know why I bit my tongue when I said see, but we'll keep it in. But beyond all that, tying this all together, I think was the Halloween event. Now, I have yet to clear the boss, but the Halloween event is interesting because it does obviously bring in the theme of what a new kind of seasonal event. We didn't have this last year. We were kind of wondering what they would kind of do, and it looks like we are getting a new seasonal event like we have with the summer event. And there is a big big badass boss that spawns at level 66. And it's clear that in order to clear this and get you guys more feedback on the October surprise or whatever we want to call it, the Halloween event, that's going to be something we're going to have to work towards together as a team. And I'm just absolutely thrilled by what I've seen. The game feels like it runs way more stable and way smoother. The UI, some of the subtle touches they've made really do come together in a grand way. It's subtle, but it feels way more, I guess, way more cohesive. And yeah, absolutely just in love with the greatsword right now, and gonna keep playing around with that, and hopefully we'll get some guides and some builds out on the channel for you guys here in the next couple of weeks. I've been holding off personally because we might see some adjustments. I've been kind of watching the notes for those, so just kind of keep in mind that I'm gonna try to wait a little bit before we put that together for you, so that way you have the most accurate information as possible before October drops and kind of surprises us all. But all in all, really good experience. I hope that they address the quest bottlenecking. I think because that's going to cause some frustration for returning players when that goes live if they don't address it now. But bravo to the team on the zone. Cannot wait to experience more of it. And yeah, I hope you guys come and check out the live stream and hang out with us on Discord if you're looking for more people to play with, play New World. Now, outside of that, guys, if you haven't already, hit that like button if you feel like it earns it. Subscribe for more New World content. Check out the Epically Radio podcast, in which we film on Wednesdays live, but you can always check out the MP3 audio wherever podcasts are consumed. So we're everywhere. I'm sure you could find it on your Samsung fridge if you look hard enough. And that's pretty much going to wrap up today's video. Those are my thoughts. I look forward to hearing yours. I look forward to getting into more of the weeds with you guys over the course of September as we get her up for the 1 year. I keep seeing about in the comments about a campfire event for the 28th. I might have the date wrong, but as I learn more about that, note that that's something we're going to try to promote and be a part of as a part of this community as we celebrate 1 year in Eternum, and as we look forward to many, many, many more. Thanks, guys, for being here on this journey. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I'll see you next time. And until then, take care.